Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So today we're heading straight into the unfolding criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, and we're focusing specifically on day 2 of the proceedings.
Right, because that day was really dominated by the testimony of his former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. Highly anticipated stuff.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, our main source is a detailed report from the Law and Crime Network.
Which is crucial because there were no cameras, no audio allowed in court.
Exactly. So this report gives us this unique, sort of unfiltered window into what actually happened, what was said.
Yeah. And for you, our listener, if you're looking to get a quick but thorough handle on these complex situations, that's what we aim to do.
We'll break down the key moments from Ventura's testimony and also the cross-examination that happened before that with another witness, Daniel Phillip.
We'll pull out the essential bits, connect the dots, but, try not to get you bogged down in every single detail.
Right. The goal here is a clear understanding of the allegations presented that day, maybe get a sense of the defense's strategy.
And also acknowledge the emotional weight of the testimony itself.
Definitely. And we're sticking strictly to what was reported. We're staying impartial, not getting into any, political angles or anything outside the reported courtroom events.
Okay, great. So let's start unpacking this. First up was the continuation of Daniel Phillip's cross-examination.
Right. Just a quick recap. Phillip, who's described as a male escort or performer.
Yeah.
He'd previously testified that Diddy allegedly paid him to have sex with Cassandra Ventura, while Diddy watched and recorded it.
Okay, so day 2, the defense attorney Xavier Donaldson picks up the questioning.
He started asking about a visit to the Gramercy Park Hotel. He asked, why Diddy was sitting over in the corner during this encounter.
Asking if Phillip even noticed that. What's the angle there, maybe?
Well, could be trying to paint Diddy as less of a direct participant, maybe. Just sort of observing.
Possibly. Then Donaldson asked if Cassie took the lead during the sex.
Right. And Phillip's response, according to the report, was they both did their thing.
Which isn't a direct yes or no, is it? Seems like the defense is probing her level of involvement, trying to suggest it wasn't coerced, perhaps?
Seems like it. Donaldson also asked if Cassie seemed drunk or high during these times.
And Phillip said?
He said no.
Ugh.
Clearly stated. He also confirmed she didn't pay him, and she didn't pay for the hotel.
Okay, so the defense is trying to establish she was coherent, had agency.
Exactly. That she was aware of what was happening.
The questioning also touched on an alleged assault at Cassie's apartment.
Yeah, a detail that apparently lines up with what Cassie testified to later. So maybe laying groundwork or looking for inconsistencies.
Right. So a big part of the defense strategy with Phillip, it seems, was showing Cassie was coherent, not intoxicated during these, what the defense called freak-offs.
Yeah, that was their term. Trying to frame it as, consensual, maybe unconventional, but not criminal activity on her part.
Okay. Then there was this discussion about Phillip meeting Cassie outside the Dream Hotel much later, December 2023.
Right. The defense implied Cassie asked to call him later, maybe suggesting she wanted another encounter.
But Phillip denied that.
He did deny it. It just shows how both sides are really trying to frame Cassie's intentions and the nature of their interactions.
Yeah, the defense may be trying to show continued voluntary contact.
Possibly. We also learned Phillip met with federal prosecutors pretty recently, March of this year, 2025.
Okay. Now, this part was interesting. Phillip's earlier statements to the feds back in October 2024.
He'd apparently described Cassie as, one of the most beautiful women he'd ever seen.
And even said he'd date her if he could, hinting at some kind of personal interest.
Yeah, potentially. And even more striking, he apparently told prosecutors back then he was jealous seeing Diddy with Cassie.
But in court, during this cross-examination.
He didn't recall saying that.
That's a discrepancy. Why the change? Could be memory, could be other things. Raises questions, doesn't it?
It certainly does. So, then the prosecution gets their turn again. The redirect examination.
Okay, what did they focus on?
They brought it back to Diddy's control. How Diddy allegedly directed everything.
Like specific instructions.
Yeah, telling Cassie to give oral sex, telling them to rub baby oil on him. Really emphasizing Diddy's role as the director.
And the money aspect came up again too, right?
Crucially, yes. Phillip said he got paid varying amounts, up to $6,000 maybe, but only if he had sex with Cassie and only if Diddy was there.
So no Diddy, no Cassie involved, no payment.
Correct. Strongly suggests Diddy was orchestrating and funding these specific encounters involving Cassie.
Then there was this back and forth about text messages. Phillip said Cassie didn't usually reply.
But the defense showed exhibits, actual texts where she did send casual replies.
Trying to undermine his claim that she kept her distance. Show more interaction.
Seems like it. But then a really significant and disturbing point came out on redirect.
What was that?
Philip testified about an incident after Diddy had allegedly beaten Cassie. According to Philip, Diddy tried to get her to continue performing sexually with him, with Philip.
After she'd been beaten.
Yes. But Philip said he couldn't get an erection, and, importantly, he said he wanted to comfort her.
Wow. So his testimony basically confirms a beating occurred.
It seems to corroborate it, yes.
Yeah.
And he added that Diddy allegedly called her the B word at that moment.
That's incredibly damaging testimony, even if the defense came back again on recross about the texts.
Absolutely. That detail about him wanting to comfort her after seeing her state, it's powerful. It really cuts against the narrative of just kinky sex.
It suggests distress, harm, not willing participation in that moment.
Exactly. A big challenge for the defense narrative, you'd think.
And all through this, the report mentioned Diddy was watching Philip intently, taking notes, talking to his lawyer.
High stakes. He's clearly locked in.
Okay, so that leads us to the main event of the day, really. Cassie Ventura taking the stand.
Yes. Her entrance itself was described as, well, quite deliberate.
How so?
She walked in wearing a long brown dress, visibly pregnant, maintained like a laser focus straight ahead.
Directly to the witness stand. Didn't look at Diddy or his family.
Didn't appear to, no. According to the report, she focused on the prosecutor, Emily Johnson, and sometimes glanced at the jury.
No acknowledgement of Diddy or the defense team entering or leaving.
None reported. Which, could mean many things, but it sets a certain tone.
And the defense had said the day before, the last time they were even in the same room, was Kim Porter's memorial back in 2018.
Right, so this would be their first encounter in the same space in years, based on that claim.
So her testimony begins. She talks about meeting Diddy. She called him Sean throughout.
Around 2005, she was 19.
Signed with Bad Boy Records in 2006. Big deal, like a 10-album deal.
Yeah, huge deal on paper, though she only ended up releasing one album and a mixtape.
She initially saw him as larger than life, but didn't know him personally.
Right. And the relationship after signing was platonic at first. They showed photos of them at events, like the 2006 BT Awards, even with Kim Porter there.
Cassie referred to Kim Porter as his ex and the mother of his kids, setting the scene.
Then came a photo from Cassie's 21st birthday party. Diddy kissed her in the bathroom.
And at that time, he's just the label executive. She said she found it confusing.
Yeah. Described herself as naive, a new artist. Said she ran out of the bathroom afterwards. Suggests it wasn't welcome, given the context.
Then she visited him at the Trump Hotel, thought it was about her music career.
But testified that instead she was, quote, introduced to oral sex.
And that he made her feel crazy for not reciprocating.
That's what she alleged, yeah. She said she didn't because she was in another relationship then.
But she also admitted being drawn to him, his exciting nature, feeling special.
Yes, which kind of highlights that power dynamic, maybe? How his attention could be captivating, even alongside uncomfortable situations.
Okay, then the Miami trip. She thought it was work.
Right, there was even a flyer for a club appearance.
But it turned into sex on a boat with Diddy. Others were there too.
Her friend Carrie Morgan, producer Dallas Austin, were on the boat trip, yes. And that's when she said she took a blue dolphin pill, ecstasy, given to her by Diddy.
Her first intentional drug use, she said, made her feel euphoric.
That's her testimony. They showed photos from the boat trip in court, too.
And after Miami, the relationship turned romantic.
Yes. She considered herself one of his girlfriends. Thought it was monogamous at first, though they kept it quiet for years because he was still publicly with Kim Porter.
Complex situation.
Very. She then cut ties with her old management, said she fell in love with him, felt like his shadow because they were always together.
Her first adult relationship, she called it.
And they showed photos from around that time, Halloween 2007. Her smiling, looking excited. A different phase before things allegedly changed.
Right, because then her testimony took a turn, describing a shift. Abuse and control entering the relationship.
Exactly. She started experiencing a different side of him. Physical abuse, controlling behavior.
Like calling constantly. Texts, calls, FaceTime.
Yeah, and if she didn't answer, his staff, she named names, assistants, security, would track her down.
Wow. Intense surveillance. It sounds like no personal space.
That's the picture painted. She said his moods dictated everything for her. Experienced physical and psychological abuse.
Even for not smiling right. Watch your face, watch your mouth.
That's what she testified, he'd say. Just constant monitoring, dictating how she should be, who she should be.
Which leads into the testimony about the freak-offs.
Yes. And she described a whole preparation ritual for these.
Like what?
Specifics about her appearance. Nails had to be white or French tips. Discussions about getting breast implants. Maintaining a look tan, wax.
So intense focus on her body, but seemingly dictated by him for these events.
Completely.
How
She
cool.
testified Diddy controlled everything. How she looked, how she spoke, how she performed.
And she talked about sessions within a freak-off.
Yeah, like individual sex acts. Could be 3 or 4 sessions in one event. Highly structured, directed by him.
How did she say these started?
She said it was initially presented as his fantasy that he wanted to watch. He introduced her to swinging.
And this started fairly early in the relationship. Within a year, she was around 22.
That's what she testified, yes. Relatively early on.
And these involved strangers, escorts, dancers.
Usually, yes. She said she agreed to it to make him happy.
Where did the first one happen?
At his L.A. home, she said. Involved a paid escort she called the first escort. Described him. Black man, dreads, earring. They even showed a photo.
Adds a very stark reality to it.
It does. She said Diddy directed everything. Masks for her, heels, the lighting, applying baby oil.
And the escorts were paid well.
Thousands of dollars, she said, emphasizing the transactional nature funded by Diddy.
How does she say she coped with this?
She testified she used drugs, ecstasy, alcohol at first, then later cocaine, Molly, DMA, allegedly provided by Diddy. Said it made her feel dirty.
The emotional toll sounds immense.
Clearly. And the frequency.
Yeah.
She said it increased to weekly. For years, ending maybe 2017, 2018.
Weekly for years, that's a lot.
A staggering amount. She said Diddy decided when they ended. She couldn't even remember how many because of the frequency and the drug use.
And how did she feel during this?
She got emotional testifying about it. Said she felt humiliated, like that was all she was good for. Objectified.
Said his eyes would go black if she resisted.
Yeah. And that the only part she actually liked was the one-on-one time with him afterwards.
Which speaks volumes about the dynamic, doesn't it? Seeking connection even after something potentially degrading.
It really does. She testified she tried to tell him how worthless it made her feel, but he dismissed it. Called her predictable.
Wow. They showed an email, too.
Yeah.
From 2010.
Yes. Nicknames BG for her, Pop for him. Subject line, I really need to F. His message apparently suggested calling someone, implying a freak-off.
Yeah.
Her reply was, are you crazy? Suggesting she wanted intimacy just with him.
Highlighting that disconnect. He wants a performance, she wants connection.
Precisely. She also mentioned disguises, masks, wigs for her, hats, masks for him sometimes.
Why the masks? Fear of exposure.
Seems like it. Said they'd take them off if they got comfortable with an escort. Paints a picture of secrecy, maybe shame.
And the locations. She listed a lot. His homes, her home, hotels everywhere.
Yeah, New York, Miami, L.A., Atlanta, Turks and Caicos, Vegas. Named specific hotels. Suggests it was pervasive wherever they went.
And the supplies. Staff provided them. Baby oil was a big thing.
A huge thing, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson & Johnson's. Up to 10 bottles per freak-off, she said. Plus condoms, candles, lube.
And bottles of baby oil. That's a lot.
An unusual detail.
Yeah.
Also mentioned candle wax being poured on them. Studio lights later on. Red, purple, blue.
Mm-hmm.
They showed a photo of Diddy in a red room holding cash.
Creating a specific controlled environment.
Very much so. She described the rooms as extremely warm, needing extra linen because of, well, blood and urine, soiling fabrics.
Blood and urine. And she said she was expected to do this even when menstruating.
That was her testimony, yes. Graphic and deeply personal detail.
It got even more disturbing, didn't it?
It did. She alleged that Diddy and escorts would urinate on her against her will.
Against her will.
Yes. Said it was a turn-on for Diddy, but humiliating and overwhelming for her. Mentioned choking on urine once.
That's horrifying.
Absolutely. Said staff cleaned up after, and there were big charges for damages. She was often high, didn't verbally refuse, but thought her discomfort was obvious.
Just endured it.
That's the picture she painted. The reporter even alluded to another detail about Diddy's nipples being even more disgusting, but didn't specify it in the report.
Okay, so then she addressed the 2016 Intercontinental Hotel incident, the one caught on video.
Yes. Confirmed it happened when she was trying to leave a freak-off there in L.A.
And they showed texts from that day.
Diddy asking her plans. Her saying she wanted to F so bad, but didn't want to F myself up with drugs because she had a movie premiere soon. Wanted a clear head.
Provides context for her state of mind. She did participate in the freak-off, though.
She testified she did, but left after Diddy gave her a black eye between the sessions.
Her account of when the first punch happened was slightly different from the video.
Slightly. She said the first punch was inside the room, before she ran out into the hall shown in the video. Said she doesn't remember exactly what he said while hitting her.
And the video was played in court. How did she react?
The report said she stayed composed while watching it.
Must have been incredibly difficult.
Unimaginable. She confirmed it was her and Diddy, confirmed he'd thrown her down like that before, said she stayed on the ground because it felt safest, didn't fight back.
And the testimony for the day ended with her describing picking up a hotel phone while he held her bags.
Yes, that part of the incident they expect to cover more the next day, and her cross-examination will likely extend into the day after that.
The reporter noted her testimony tracked closely with her lawsuit complaint from 2023.
Yes, suggesting consistency in her account over time.
Okay, so let's try to summarize the key takeaways from this deep dive into day 2.
Well, we heard incredibly detailed and frankly harrowing allegations of sexual abuse, exploitation, and intense control directly from Cassandra Ventura.
And before that, we saw the defense trying to challenge the credibility of Daniel Phillip, the previous witness.
Right. So you, the listener, hopefully now have a much clearer picture of what unfolded in court that day.
You've got insight into the prosecution's case, the defense's potential angles, and the sheer emotional weight of Ventura's testimony.
All drawn directly from the courtroom reporting
Yeah.
without getting lost in legal jargon or, media hype.
Yeah. And listening to this detailed, often graphic testimony, and considering the defense strategy is likely going to question her choices, her participation.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the power dynamics in relationships like this.
Exactly. And the complexities of consent, especially when there's significant influence, fame, money, potential coercion involved.
What does this case reveal about those dynamics? About the difficulty someone might face trying to leave a situation where that kind of control and alleged abuse is happening?
That's definitely something to keep in mind, something to reflect on as this trial continues.